104.5 The Team, you're home for New York Yankees baseball. Buster Olney joins us. Buster, I love the game inside the game when it comes to baseball. Were you half as entertained with Mark Teixeira versus the Mets pitchers as I was last night?
I was. And it's a little bit, it's funny watching Mark's interview on the Yes Network after, as he said, he hasn't had that much fun in a long time on a field. And it kind of made me wonder, like, are the Mets really? Because the rest of the American League has figured out that right now, Mark Teixeira is not someone you have to get into a fight with because he struggled a lot. And yet, by the end of the night, Mark Teixeira is the big hero, and he came off, in my opinion, looking bigger than some of the Mets pitchers who were complaining about him.
Buster Olney joins us, 104.5 The Team. Okay, so this is the first time we've spoken to you, Buster, since the trade deadline on Monday. Your thoughts on how the Yankees and Mets handle themselves?
I absolutely thought the Yankees did the right thing, and I think we've been talking about it since late June, early July, that this was something that needed to happen, and Brian Cashman, in the end, was able to convince ownership that this is the right time to do things, and boy, I mean, does their future just feel differently than it did, 2 weeks ago before they began the sell-off, because now they have this group of prospects. They're turning the page on the older generation of players, and as the contracts come off and the prospects move up, they're going to be in a much better position because of what they got in return for those guys that they dealt. And for the Mets, I thought it was a measured response. I respect the fact that they didn't really give up any of their top prospects. They tried to make the team better. I think the fact that they targeted Jay Bruce builds them a bit of a safety net for what's going to happen after this season when Yoenis Cespedes probably is going to walk away, and now they'll have Jay Bruce and a very affordable team option for 2017. To me, given the injuries they have with the rotation, given the injuries they have with the everyday lineup with Lucas Duda, David Wright, et cetera, down, this was not a team that you were going to invest heavily in terms of trading away prospects the way they did last year.
We're going to the game on Sunday, Buster. Is A-Rod going to be a Yankee still? Or
I tell you, I mean, to me, the only question is whether or not Hal Steinbrenner really decides, you know what, I'm going to apply some logic here, because there's no logical reason for them to keep him and for him to be around other than if Alex just wants to ride out the season. And because here's the thing, they have clearly devoted themselves to rebuilding. And so moving forward, they're going to play young guys. Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, et cetera, are going to get the bulk of the at-bats, which means that Alex isn't going to be playing very much. It's been such a long time since he's been an effective player. If you go back to August 7th of last year, he's batting 196, 119 strikeouts, and 383 at-bats. And to me, Hal Steinbrenner should go to take Alex to lunch and say, look, we're going to pay you the rest of the contract that runs through next year, but you don't really have a place for this team anymore. How do you want to handle the end of this? And just give him the option. And for those people who say, well, he's got 4 more home runs to 700, and they should give him an opportunity to get those last 4, there's no guarantee that he would actually do that, even if they played him every day. Mm-hmm. He has only 3 homers in 146 at-bats since May 28th. And that covers 40 games. And so if I'm the Yankees, I'm turning the page on Alex Rodriguez.
Buster Olney of ESPN joins us right now on ESPN Radio 104.5 The Team. So the moves, I mean, I think we all agree the Yankees' moves are good. The one, we're still waiting to see what they do with A-Rod. But, Buster, did they set themselves up to maybe be a playoff team next year, or is this a 2018 team?
Yeah, I don't think they're a playoff team next year, but I think they'll have a chance for that. A lot of that, it depends on how they address the pitching staff, because if you look at what they added, there's no question that their farm system's in a much better place, but they still have a gaping hole in terms of having young major league pitching, major league ready pitching, necessarily setting themselves up going forward, because you have Masahiro Tanaka, who still has a ticking time bomb in his elbow. You still have Michael Pineda, who is, let's face it, erratic at best. Nathan Eovaldi, who is up and down. They still need a couple of more guys for that rotation. It's just a question of who they land, who they can attract, maybe they can sign during the course of wintertime.
What about Cespedes, Buster?
Well, there's so much talk here in New York today about the golfing, and, does the golfing contribute to that? And he goes down. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think upon the Mets, though, there are two things. One, he certainly set himself up to opt out of the contract and get more guaranteed money than just 2 years left on his deal. But my question that I have, if I'm the Mets, is what about how much weight he's put on? I noticed it when I saw him at the beginning of spring training that he had gotten a lot heavier. That doesn't seem to have been diminished as an issue, I think, as the season's gone on. I think when they signed him, the thought was he was going to play center field, but it became fairly apparent that between his own comfort level and his girth, that he's more of a left fielder now. That's a concern. And so for me, I wouldn't really care so much about whether or not he's playing golf, but my question to Cespedes would be, are you getting enough time put in terms of your cardiovascular stuff? Because he definitely looks heavier, which makes him more susceptible to injury and like he's having now.
Now, is this a situation like from the outside looking in where, all right, I got my money, I'm going to chill out and enjoy life?
I don't know. It'd be hard for me to make that judgment. I don't know if, I'm older. I'm over 50, and I know the metabolism slowed down, and maybe he got his first dose of that during the off season. But it's an issue, and he has to be in better shape than what he was this year. We've seen it with other guys in other teams. Yasiel Puig, the Dodgers, for example, is someone who jumps to mind where he looks heavier. You guys see CC Sabathia these days. He looks heavier than he has in a while, and I just think it's something the Mets have to get a hold of before they decide how to invest in Cespedes going into next year.
We don't want Bartolo, though, to lose any weight. We like him where he is.
Yeah, big sexy.
Yeah.
He's kind of on his own planet, right?
He is his own planet.
Whole thing. Between the PED history and the weight and the whole thing, I don't even know what to make of him.
Buster, we do like whole segments on the show as Bartolo. It's Bartolo.
Bartolo.
I know that you're way too professional to really comment on this, but I have a running wager that he probably breaks wind towards that middle infield a good 6 to 7 times a game.
Wow. I can't say that I've actually thought about that.
I'm a big guy. I know what's up. Buster, this Mets team, Cespedes has got the quad injury. Jay Bruce doesn't have a hit so far. Are they still contenders for the playoffs?
On the fringe, but I think there are teams that are much better than them that are in the race. I think the Dodgers potentially are. I think the Cardinals absolutely are. I think the Pirates with their soft schedule, even the Rockies are coming on. I didn't check what Baseball Prospectus's odds are for them making the playoffs. Whereas of this morning, my guess is they're probably somewhere in the range of about 8 to 9%. And coming into the year, it seemed like it was a team that needed to be carried by its starting pitching, and they are just not in the same position that they were. And about Jay Bruce, I've known Jay a long time, and I think he's I thought that was a good trade, as they say, for a safety net for next year. But he also really cares, and I remember, my conversations with David Cohn when he was on the Yankees, that sometimes if you're a really smart guy, that sometimes those extra thoughts of really caring can backfire. And so when he got traded to the Mets, my first thought was, geez, I hope he gets off to a good start, because he definitely at times you can see that, a slump or a streak can really multiply on him.
Let's talk about Clayton Kershaw. Is he going to start another game this year?
I don't know, and I can't really give you odds because the Dodgers, no matter what information they've released, they haven't told us the whole story. I'm sure there are a lot more layers to it, and it's not, the Dodgers and Kershaw are not required to do that. But the fact is that the calendar is running out on him. He hasn't pitched now in 39 days. He's on the 60-day disabled list, which means if he does pitch, he can't appear in a major league game until the end of August. But he's got to go through essentially close to a full spring training again as he comes back in terms of rebuilding his arm and building up his conditioning to pitch on the mound. And at some point here in the next 2 weeks, I think internally for the Dodgers, they have to start to weigh the question of, okay, what should we focus on more? The increasingly diminished chance that he can actually help us this year, or focusing on trying to make sure that he's ready for the start of 2017, which is why I think the next 2 weeks will be absolutely crucial in how much progress he makes.
Buster Olney right here on 104.5 The Team. Buster, the Dodgers, the other story, of course, is, it's not as easy to make a trade right now, but if you go through waivers, you can make a trade. Is Puig going to leave, or are there any other waiver deals you're looking at right now?
Well, there are a bunch of deals that I think are going to happen this month, as they happen every August. For example, I think Mark Teixeira is a great waiver claim possibility, waiver trade possibility, because he's going to get through waivers because he's owed $22.5 million, his salary, or $23 million, and no one's going to claim him for that. And so he'll get through, and maybe some contender will lose a first baseman, and Mark would have to approve it. And I don't know how he feels about that. I know he's got kids, and I don't know, late in the school year or beginning of the school year, would he want to do that? But he's a good fielder, and maybe he'll start hitting for some power, and maybe he's someone who moves. Puig, to me, is a guy who probably would not get claimed by another team because he's making a lot of money, and the Dodgers found out before the trade deadline that other teams view him probably the same way the Dodgers do, as an incredibly gifted athlete who has really struggled to make adjustments at the plate, and doing all those things that he needs to do to combat how pitchers are working against him, which has been the same for 2 years. Fastballs in, breaking balls away, and whether he doesn't see the pitches or he's too stubborn or his attention span is too short, he does not seem to consistently follow a plan to combat that.
Buster Olney with us, and Buster on the road as always during the baseball season. Where are you going to be this weekend?
I am going to be home.
What?
We actually do not have a Sunday game this week because of the Olympics, but I am on standby in case you get the phone call that Alex Rodriguez is calling a press conference.
What does Buster Olney do when there's no baseball on television?
Mow the lawn. I love working on the lawn. I can't tell you how much I love working on the lawn. I don't have the 180 acres that I did when I was a kid growing up in Vermont, but I got my lawn.
Buster, shorts and black socks or no?
No, that was my dad. Shorts and white socks.
There you go.
Yeah, Buster, listen, man, if you like it so much, there's a nice little lawn up in Latham, right up here. I'll even gas the mower for you.
You know what? You might be surprised someday. But just the only problem that you're not going to like is that I'd want to do it at 5:30 in the morning.
I got to be honest with you, just the sheer, unique views I'll get on the website of you mowing my lawn, whatever time you want.
I appreciate it.
Buster, enjoy a little bit of downtime this weekend.
It'll be fun.
All right, man, we'll talk to you.
Thanks, Buster.
Thanks, guys.